to the podcast. If I seem discombobulated, I'm just, how do you say? I'm just now getting online. I'm just now getting on this whole thing. I don't know how that happened. Usually I sit here and I pay attention to the world, and the world would include podcasting. Today, apparently, I just got lost in my little reverie reading Facebook, and unbeknownst to me, oh, I know what else I did. So I signed up for this thing. I didn't even know about this. This is tripping me out, man. According to United Healthcare, where I have insurance, for over a year now, I've had something called a wellness card with Walmart. I'm like, so I was getting ready to throw it out because I'm cleaning my anticipated leaving. And I started looking at this. What is this? Get free health and wellness products. What kind of scam is this? Except it's my insurance company, so I'm not sure how big a scam it's going to be. I'm reading it. So I'm like, oh, activate this card and you get credits towards purchases of things like toothpaste and stuff. So I went ahead and I tried to activate the card. They said, that card's no good, but call us. So I called. The lady said, what's your card number? I said, it's my card number. She said, no, that's no good. That's a year old. I'm like, a year old? Could that really have been sitting on my desk for a year? Doesn't matter. So she helped me register online. Yeah. Debbie, over the counter, right? So she got me registered. And what I can do is I can go online and I buy stuff. And for every 3 months, I get a $40 credit. Now, I'm only telling you this because I bought a crap load of stuff in the last year and a half that qualified. I mean, I just bought ibuprofen. A bottle, I could have got it for free. And obviously, what they want you to do is use up your credits and then continue to use them to buy. I don't know. I didn't get that far, right? So I gotta see. But I'm enamored with the idea that I have lost $40 every 3 months because I don't read my mail. And I didn't get my stimulus check either. And that's because I'm slow on filing my taxes. $40 over the counter free. Apparently, everybody knows. You get $150 a quarter on a catalog. Wow. Now I just went from, yeah, I'm bad. I'm bad. Look at me. I get a $40 credit every quarter. And Kathy comes in and bam. Oh, oh shit. Loosen my tooth. Oh man, Kathy. Rachel has it. Apparently, Debbie has it. Kathy has it. Most of you have it, which we probably shouldn't get too thrilled about because it means we're old. Anyways, so I was doing that. And apparently, I was doing it late, right? So I did that. And then I'm just messing around. And I blew the whole thing here. Afternoon. Radine, that's not permitted. You have to talk in full sentences, nothing cryptic. Afternoon is challenging. I cannot be challenged. I don't have, I'll tell you another problem with the time. It's not all my fault, but I paused the news. Paused the news on the TV. So the 5 o'clock show is still on, even though, and I didn't think about the fact that I had paused it because I was on the phone for a little bit with that lady registering. So I paused. So they're still, according to them, it's 5:51 right now on my television. You understand it's not 5:51 now, but I didn't. Suspect arrested after multiple shot, one dead at Texas cabinet store. Well, that's an interesting news article. And I'll tell you why. Because I've sort of unwillingly And yet, in the same breath, unhesitatingly, I'm becoming a gun control advocate. I don't want to be a gun control advocate. I don't want to be a gun control activist. I don't want anything to do with it, but I am. I am because after all the years of carrying, shooting, teaching, owning the gun range, owning the gun store, I feel compelled in the absence of people talking sense to put in my 2 cents, right? It's 407 where you're at. Okay. Walmart is evil. Our tax dollars support their workers. So that's an interesting insight, Mark. Um, I used to almost run my original radio show on being anti Walmart. I didn't really. I absolutely always tore Walmart a new one. In fact, there was a guy that owned a website that I would promote. It was called WalmartSucks.com, and I did refer people. Hey, check it out. He's no longer active. I took on a family and started shopping at Sam's Club, which of course is owned by Walmart. And eventually, here's what happened between me and Walmart. My wife at the time would go to Walmart because she had always gone to Walmart and she could deal with it. In fact, she would say to me, "I'm going to go to Walmart. You stay here. You'll just get in trouble there. You'll get in a fight. So don't even bother." Or if I drove them there, she'd tell me to stay in the parking lot. That's how much she knew I didn't like Walmart. I don't know if they're evil for sure, but they sure seem like it, right? Well, here's the thing: they've shut down so many other venues for shopping that there are times when you don't really have a whole lot of choice. Um, Here, we don't have 24-hour um, pharmacies. In Chicago, we had 24-hour pharmacies, we had 24-hour things, shopping. Walmart, not Walmart, Dominic's and Jewel in Chicago were open 24 hours a day. But in Dallas, that's not true. I don't know any grocery store or drugstore that's open 24 hours a day. But less than a mile from me, or maybe 1 mile from me, probably, is a Walmart that's open 24 hours a day. So sometimes my family and I capitulate. My daughters go there; they don't pay attention to me. Um, for your information, 30 million of us on Social Security just now gained their stimulus. To tell you when okay, Kathy, you don't need to file your taxes. Already get the stimulus check or deposit. I got mine. I'm going to file taxes. Kathy, I didn't file last year. It was just an oversight. I don't owe any money, so I didn't worry about it. So I'm a year behind. That's why I'm not getting a stimulus check yet, but I have filed now, and so I'm hoping I get caught up. So, all right, having explained that to you, admitting my how you say my shortcomings, right? All right. So if you're on YouTube and you're wondering who's he talking to again, um, I'm talking to people on Facebook. Rachel, when you say my audio is not working right, are you sure that my audio is not working right, or is it yours? Because other people are interacting with me, which suggests that they hear me. So, oh, Debbie, is that right? Okay, then my accountant is wrong. Is somebody else having audio issues? Because I have no way um, of determining if there's a problem on my end or a problem on your end. And if nothing else, try another device. Rose hears me. So sorry, Rachel. Sounds like it's on your end. All right. No, Debbie, no what? Debbie, what do you mean? No, no, you can't hear me? Because if you can't hear me, how could you answer me? So, no, no what? You people, stop. let me stop. I'm inviting comments, and they're coming in cryptic words. No problem. I can hear you. Thank you. That was 100% understandable. Thank you. All right. So, and some of you know, I froze 4 seconds ago. Damn it. Am I still going to freeze? I mean, will I freeze intermittently, or was that an anomaly? Was that unusual, or is that something that happens from time to time? I don't know. So I was talking about guns, but you people are still talking about Social Security, stimulus checks, and stuff. I was going to go on and think about guns, but I can stay here and talk about digital communication and Social Security and stimulus checks. I mean, what I'm telling you is I'm flexible. I think that this crowd deserves to be okay. Thank you. I think this crowd deserves to have me be responsive to whatever issues arise up to a point. Like yesterday, Rachel was telling somebody she was their aunt and all this other stuff. That doesn't work for me. But if you're sticking with, here's the podcast, here's my communication, here's my interaction, here's my feedback, I'm fine with that. Talking to each other is a big no, because I can't do that. Guns, please, says Debbie. So I hope the freezing, by the way, was really an anomaly, and I'll tell you why. I've been on my computer for the last week or so, and like I'll try to go to Facebook, and there's something wrong, but I'll take my phone and go right to Facebook. So there's something in my internet provider or something, and I need to find out more about it, and I will. And I'm going to talk about guns as soon as I let the cat back in the house. Well, thank you for that little break in the action. I have this little cat, and if he needs to come in, it means he's freaking. Okay, so guns. So I became a gun control advocate. And I'm using the word gun control versus gun safety, gun responsibility, or any number of other little things that they're trying to use, because gun control is so fraught with toxins. You know, you say gun control. So people who are advocating for gun control are looking for new language because they don't want to trigger this swing from this punch from the right and the NRA. But it doesn't matter. If you're talking about regulation, restriction, if you're talking about control, if you're talking about safety, it doesn't matter. The NRA is going to do everything it can to stop you. The NRA's position, that's the National Rifle Association, their position is essentially, whether it's published or not, I know what it is do not allow any modifications, regulations, or restrictions to the gun laws that are more restrictive. So Tennessee just passed legislation, it's been signed by the governor. You no longer need to even have any training or anything to carry concealed on you anymore. All the states that had concealed, all the states that had the all right, you got it. You can't do that to me. Okay. Let's talk about something that's easier to talk about. I got to be able to keep my concentration. And if I'm getting messages about audios repeating itself, which I don't know what the fuck it means, and I don't want to deal with it. And so text each other. Who should text each other? I don't know what's going on. So I signed up to do a podcast. I'm eager to do a podcast because I'm used to it. But of late, it's just more challenging than I'm capable of keeping up with. Because if I don't understand and I'm trying to be reactive, responsive, and interactive, I gotta know what the fuck's going on. I know y'all say there's a delay from the time you want to communicate to me, but if you're communicating in a way that leaves open to what the fuck are you talking about, then I'm stuck with what the fuck you're talking about. So, you know, I will tell you, radio was simpler, even though in a sense it's not. You had to be in a studio. You needed special antennas. You needed licensing. Everything you did was FCC regulated. Okay, and so my job was pretty simple. I just showed up. This is becoming more and more challenging because all of a sudden digitally there's a problem. Well, if I had a problem in a radio station, it was not my problem. If we went off the air, it was not my problem. I wasn't getting us back on the air. They had engineers who were on call 24 hours a day. Oh, something's wrong. We're off the air. So first your producer tried to fix it. If your producer couldn't fix it, then they contacted an engineer. And if there was no way to broadcast, you just didn't broadcast. Now, I never was in that position. I don't remember that ever happening at the station. Maybe glitches. Engineers will work on it. But I don't remember ever being able to uh, everything you're saying is repeating itself again at the same time. So that's an echo effect, and that's not likely on my side. Typically, the echo effect is on the receiving side. So, so let me tell you, back to guns. Show you my new acquisition. I bought a battery tester, and if you think Walmart's evil, Amazon got to be twice as evil. So I bought this on Amazon because I wanted to use it before I left town. So this will test all kinds of batteries. I had about 20 batteries that I had no clue whether they worked or not. They were just in a bag. I don't know who put them in the bag. Whether it was my daughters, wasn't me. So I went ahead and I tested them. About half of them were bad, half of them said they're good. So I paid about $8 for this. I will get my money back. And also, it's saying that a bunch of 2032s, that small camera battery, they're saying that I ordered like 20 of them because I have so many things that ran on them. They're saying they're all mostly worthless, but I've owned them for a year or so. So who am I going to complain to now? Right? All right. So guns. Here's the thing. The NRA is actively lobbying against any new regulations, reasonable or otherwise. And they're not going to tell you, well, they may tell you now that the regulations that are being advocated are unreasonable because they're saying that about everything. I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. I'm here to tell you that the NRA didn't always stake out that position on some of this, but they do now. And it's really important for us to note that, in fact, a woman was talking about this on one of the shows today. Not only is there this chasm between gun owners and gun control advocates, but the reason the Republicans are unwilling to create any new regulations is, as this pundit pointed out, that group of the gun owners on the right, these conservatives who are afraid of losing their guns, they think they know the Constitution, that's their core audience now. That's their core voter. That's become their heartbeat. They can't take a position anymore like they would in the past because they've been pandering to this audience. And if they stopped pandering to that audience and lost those votes, they'd be in deep, they're already in trouble. So not only are they not going to do anything, they're going to they're going to do a lot of not doing anything. So the president, Biden, is proposing some executive orders, or he's already enacted executive orders. There's only so much you can do about guns through executive orders. And I've pointed out on my podcast repeatedly, executive orders are thin, they're tissue thin. First of all, you catch flack for every executive order. The other side says, look, you didn't want to go through the legislative process. You're legislating by executive order. And then every year they print how many executive orders you signed, whether it was Trump, Obama, whoever it is. They're like, look at this, look at this. The executive branch is ruling, without the input of the legislative branch. So executive orders are fragile. And when the next president comes along, they get to undo them instantly if they want to, because now they're the executive and they can issue new orders, starting with, I'm revoking previous orders. So that's not a good way to legislate. In fact, it's not legislation. So what is happening is there's not enough votes in the Democratic Party to move away from the filibuster. Primarily, thank you, Joe Manchin and Seema, I think is the name of this other senator. They're just unwilling to go along with anything that looks remotely democratic, liberal, left wing, because they're from conservative states and they feel that they must stop the Democratic Party from moving forward, even though they're Democrats. So we had the illusion, which we talked about here, that the Democrats were in control of the Congress. They're not. They have the control of the House for now by a thin margin, and they don't have control of the Senate. They don't have control of the Senate. So what do I mean? So they've got 50 plus the tiebreaker. The other side has 50. We're just talking party affiliation. But if 2 of your 50 are unwilling to vote with you and give you the full 50, you're already dead. You haven't got the majority, number one. And you certainly, on those issues that are filibustered, you have no chance, because now you have to also keep your 50 and you have to get 10 more from the other side, and they're not getting that. So there's no viable gun regulations, legislation coming down the pike from the federal government. State governments are active. California's been active at regulating guns. Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, and a multitude of other states, Republican states, have been busy undoing their gun laws. Open carry is being approved all over. Carrying without a license. No license needed to carry or to buy or to do anything. No training. So some states, if you wanted to carry concealed, most states required some training. Some training was so nominal, so minimal as to be completely laughable. Texas used to have 10 hours of classroom, plus you had to qualify in the range. They shortened that, and you had to requalify every 4 years. You had to take a renewal class, which was only 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, and you had to shoot again. They eliminated that. All you have to do is pay your money. So they kept their money. They cut all the teachers out, though. That was a lot of money. So that's where we stand. We need legislation because there are just so many shootings, whether it's one-on-one or one against 20, it doesn't matter. Biden gave a powerful, data-filled speech today or yesterday. He talked about the 2 mass shootings, and then he said, you know how many other shootings took place in that same time? Let's see what it says on the internet. List of mass shootings. No, I want to know how many shootings. There have been over 100 mass shootings in America. That means 4 or more. That's not what I want. I want to know. I want to know how many shootings. Just how would I don't know how to phrase that. Maybe one of you can figure it out. Anyways, he says something like 200 and something had taken place in the week that the Georgia shooting and the Colorado shooting took place. So he said, you know about the Georgia shooting and you know about the Colorado shooting. Did you know that in the days in between that week and something, that there were another 225 shootings? And how many deaths? He recited how many deaths as a result, and I think he recited how many injuries. I mean, the numbers are just off the charts. Now, if you want to look at, I don't know what they call it, per capita, if you want to look at total population, 300 million people, and a couple of tens of thousands die every year from gun, you can turn around and say it's a nominal figure. Unless you're one of the people killed, or somebody close to you is killed, or somebody close to you did the killing. We've already filled up the prisons. If you didn't know that, we filled those up already. We've incarcerated more people than anywhere else in the world, including communist countries, including China, including Russia. We have our total inmate population exceeds everybody's. And then, so we've already found a way to fill it up. All right. There's a waiting line. And so what we did was we created private prisons because they were more nimble. In other words, they could build and be up and operating quicker than the government. But for one thing, they had no obligation to be good. They just had to be ready to take prisoners when there was overcrowding. So that happened. So then we filled up additional prisons. Of course, that's part of the numbers I'm talking about. But now you've criminalized this whole population. Urban populations have been criminalized for years in the inner city, the Hispanic inner city, the Black inner city. These populations were criminalized, and it was two things: drugs and guns, drugs and guns, guns and drugs. Look at the data; you'll see it over and over again. So, the argument is if you make guns hard to get, only criminals will have guns. Well, but most criminals actually get their guns from gun owners two ways. One, they steal them from us. They simply break into our house, they break into our car, and they steal the guns that we have in the house or in the car. Now, most gun owners, I don't know most because I don't know every gun owner, most gun owners I know do not secure their guns in a specific way. I shouldn't say specific. There's no consistent agreement on how they should be stored. I've told you all before, I have a gun safe. I should go mobile and show you my gun safe, but I won't. My gun safe holds my guns that I'm not using at the moment. I have another safe beside the bed that is designed to quickly access a gun, which is inside the safe, so that I have immediate access to it in the night. And then one other gun, which is not locked and is only, I carry it. So when I come home, I take it off and I set it down beside me. So that's the only gun in my house that's typically not locked up. And so when I leave, it's on me. So if you break in my house while I'm gone, you're going to have to break into two different devices that are pretty secure. You can walk away with the smaller safe, but you got to take it and you'll spend a lot of time trying to break into it. And the other safe is far too big. You ain't going nowhere. So could we mandate safety measures such as if you own guns, you must have them under lock and key? And what would lock and key mean? Would that be like these gun cabinets that have glass and you turn you got a little lock that latches the cabinet? I mean, I'm talking about a safe. But when I raise that issue, I have all kinds of pushback, especially from people who work with inner city who say, oh, but poor people can't afford a safe. So you're just discriminating against poor people. And I thought, oh, damn, that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't know what the solution is. Kathy's asking, would longer sentences decrease shootings? Not mass shootings, but individual shootings. No, there's no evidence that longer sentences decreases shootings. The theory behind that is what we call deterrence. So the purpose of making longer sentences would be if you thought the consequences were severe enough. Most shootings result in either an aggravated assault or a homicide, all of which carry significant sentences. Now, that's a shooting. You could say, well, we'll raise the incarceration of people who are carrying guns, even though they didn't use them. We did that in Chicago. That didn't do much. Gun court was the second busiest court after drug court. So back to shootings. No, no. Under that theory, the fact that people are facing, for instance, 20 to 60 in Illinois for a homicide. So shoot somebody, somebody dies. Just one person, not multiple persons. One person. You go to court. This is what happened. I went to court. Judge found the guy guilty. She said, all right, I'm going to give him 60 years. He's only 19, Judge, and he's mentally ill. He had issues. He just came out. She said, well, I'm really doing this to deter others like him. I said, then what you have to believe is that you have to believe that before Dylan fired the gun into another human being, that he thought to himself, I can take the heat. I can do 20 to 60. Or he thought, I'm new. I'll get 20. I won't get 60, but you gave him 60. So the next guy before he shoots, no, my client never thought of the consequences. He got into this gang thing and he just shot somebody. All my clients who were charged with shooting somebody, whether they did it or didn't do it, well, let's stick with they did it. The ones that did it, and none of them had thought it through in advance in terms of consequences. They were either fulfilling a gang obligation, a crime of passion. My girlfriend screwed me over. She's seeing another guy. I'm going to kill them both. That kind of thing. Heat of passion, we called that. And so there is no evidence that I'm aware of, no study that has indicated that longer sentences decreases violence. Okay, so thank you for that question because you gave me some good meat to chew on. And so back to specifically guns, because we could say the same thing about any shooting, right? I mean, any homicide. Would it help diminish homicides? I mean, we kill at a national. How can we tout to the world that we are the best country in the world when we kill our own citizens at the highest rate in the world? How can we tout that we are the greatest country in the world for so many reasons while we have more guns than humans in the United States and we use those guns? How can we say that when we're about as polarized politically as any country in the world? I mean, where do we get the gall to go around bragging about how good we are at governance, how good we are quality of life? I mean, look at Nordic countries. They always qualify higher on quality of life issues when their population is polled. Bhutan, which is near Nepal, it's a Buddhist country. In some ways, it's very humble, very poor, but they usually rank number one or number two in quality of life satisfaction when their people are polled because their expectations are so basic and simple, and they're so altruistic with each other in their own communities, lifting each other, that the quality of life there is perceived as excellent. So we're not great at anything, really. I mean, we've got some fine educational institutions. That's true. Some of the best. We've got some of the best scientists and doctors in the world. That's true. We also have one of the biggest populations in the world. We don't know exactly how good the doctors are in China because they're in China. We know about doctors in Eastern, Western Europe and India and Africa and South America. We know a lot about them because a lot of them came here and studied, and a lot of them are now living here, right? So we know something about quality life, perception of quality life. And there's no reason to perceive that the United States is the great country it says it is. It's false bravado. And the problem is, if you're believing it, then what is it that you are believing along with it? Are you believing that this Second Amendment that gives us the right to have guns, is that what makes us so special? Because We are the only country in the world that has a Second Amendment. No other country in the world has a Second Amendment. I mean, they may have something similar to Second Amendment. They don't have a constitutional right to own firearms. Okay, so is that so? That I'm thinking that doesn't make it so great. Is it capitalism? I mean, every place isn't capitalism. Some places are communism. Some are socialist, Democrat. I mean, there's a lot of ways. Well, we're the only country that has healthcare paid for. The provider is paid for usually by the employer, and with millions of people unemployed, that's millions of people that don't have access to health care. So then we had a safety net. We said, well, if you don't have a job and you don't qualify for health care, we'll give you one of two options. You can go to the county hospital and we'll fund it with tax dollars, my tax dollars, or we'll give you Medicaid, which is funded with tax dollars, my tax dollars. Okay. So, but the Medicaid was limited. So they allowed the states to determine who would qualify for Medicaid. You had to be below poverty level, which is really low. And then you had to not be able to work. You had to not be a male. You had to do all kinds of limitations. And so more and more people didn't get caught by that safety net. So now what happens with county hospitals? County hospitals are typically in urban centers considered overburdened, overworked, short-staffed because so many people are going there just to get a doctor's appointment. People are going to the ER at Cook County Hospital, Parkland Memorial Hospital here because they have health care. So they're going to go over there and they're going to, they got a sore throat. It hurts real bad. I don't know about universal background checks, Kathy. That's a good question. Since most of them don't have the gun laws we have, I would universal background screening, they call it, universal background check. Let's see. Here's something. An article says comparing us with 4 other rich countries. Of course, we're way ahead. Switzerland has fairly liberal gun laws because everybody there has to have served in the military, and then they're allowed to have a rifle. The U.S. led the world in the number of civilian-owned firearms with 88.1 guns per 100 people, while the second place is Yemen. Yemen, we're competing with Yemen for the most guns per capita, 54.8 guns per 100 people, and I'm sure they're not doing background checks. The common explanation, according to the article, is we have the most lax gun laws. So I'll have to look into that, Kathy. I don't know. I don't know what. I know there's no constitutional entitlement, but you ask a good question. I'm kind of curious. Somebody please get me the answer. We're number 27 on the list of best countries. I don't know where we fell in the past. I only know that we keep telling everybody we're the best. So the blood is flowing. I said to gun owners before, the blood is not at your feet. That's not your blood flowing. That's the blood of the innocents. Those of you that have guns, most of the ones I know live in the suburbs or they live out in rural areas, the ones that are absolutely wow, your mind goes blank. Anyways, the ones who are most vociferous about their gun rights typically are the people that have the least threat. When you do a threat assessment, you look at where a person is in terms of the viability of a threat, right? Who's around them? What is the level of threat? Have they done something that would make them, or is it they're feeling threatened by occupation, location, things like that? So when I would be hired to do personal protection for somebody, first thing you do is a risk assessment. So why are you hiring me? Well, I'm getting divorced. My husband says he's going to kill me. Okay, so tell me about your husband. Tell me about you. Are you living together? How far have you been apart? How long have you been apart? Where are you living? Where does he live? Does he own any firearms at the time that you left him? Does did he go to the range? I mean, what was his lifestyle? Why is he targeting you? What is the origins of this? What actions so you do this risk assessment, and then you say, all right, she's really high risk. She needs to be somewhere where he can't get to her because he's looking. It's amazing. You've all heard of restraining orders. Well, restraining orders work if the person that you're getting against is afraid to go to jail versus killing you. But we know time and time again, people who have restraining orders, men, will kill anyways if they're inclined to. I mean, they'll kill you in the courthouse. Not suggesting, by the way, that anybody not seek a restraining order, because the value of a restraining order is not whether it persuades them not to come after you. I mean, yes, that is. It often dissuades people. They don't want to go to jail. Now there's the people that aren't afraid of jail. They're really out to get you. The value of a restraining order is if they come near you, if you see them before they see you, whatever, you can get intervention because you are in possession of a restraining order. So sometimes you can use it to prophylactically avert violence, but you have to be quick. So I certainly wasn't saying don't get them. I'm just saying they're only useful against people that pay attention. So let me close by saying I'm a gun control advocate, and that's the term I'm using. What it means is I advocate more limitations and restrictions on the purchase, the sale of firearms first and foremost. First and foremost, before anything else, I believe we need to regulate across the board, across the country, who can buy a gun and who they can buy it from and under what circumstances, i.e., they must be able to pass a law enforcement background check that determines whether, in fact, they have already been identified as somebody who's an illegal possessor. And then the red flag law that they're talking about is as follows, because you'll hear about that on Biden, and it's been proposed many times, and the NRA staunchly is against it. Why? Okay, well, here's what the red flag law is. I just separated from my husband, and he's talking about killing me, and he's got a gun. I go to a court. I ask for a hearing. I ask the court to invoke the red flag law and to send a police officer or demand that he turn in any weapons he has in his possession until such time as it's been deemed safe. Well, the NRA says, yeah, but then, people would just do that just to screw over their spouses, their ex-spouse, whatever. You can't trust the government. Now a guy hasn't committed a crime. You just accuse him that maybe he'll commit a crime. You're not supposed to be able to do that. Well, I mean, since we know the reason that the red flag proposal came into being is because so many women have been the victim of firearm violence by somebody they know, a spouse, a boyfriend, relative. So the red flag law that's being considered, this grew out of the statistics of women who are harmed by people they already know. In other words, the red flag law is not intended for burglary or robbery. It's aimed at domestic violence. You don't need to direct your legislation against domestic violence unless you have a problem with domestic violence. Then, hell yeah, you should try to do something about it if you have enough instances. If you have enough instances of an AR-15 being used unlawfully, repeatedly, specifically a type of firearm, then you need to be sitting at the table talking about, why are they using the AR-15 over and over and over again? Why is the lethality of the AR-15 so much higher than handguns? Why? And then how? And then what are we going to do about it? I'm telling you that I have my foot in amongst liberals who just hate guns, and any regulations fine with them. Doesn't matter how stringent it may be. And then those that just aren't ever going to agree to anything. You can legislate. They may oblige the legislation, but they ain't agreeing to shit, So It's the end of the show. The show ended 2 minutes ago. Was it a show? I don't know. I'm sorry I got bent. Let me just apologize again. But when all of a sudden I'm being told there's a breakdown in the digital casting of this, and I'm completely powerless. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I stop and like, what do I should I shut down and start over? What do I do? And then you can't respond quick enough, I guess. And so there's this time lag, and the longer that time lag goes on between the time I've been informed that some of you are having a problem, the screen froze, the cannon, whatever, you're getting an echo, and the time I get you people saying, I'm okay, it's probably the receiving end. By that time, I've already lost my mind. My mind is fragile. It, bang, boom, gone like that, man. So I'm copping to it. I don't know what else to tell you. So tomorrow will be, I think, the last show for a while, right? Because tomorrow is Friday. Saturday morning, about 8 a.m., I'm going to boogie. So I'll probably be in my car. And when I get to El Paso, which is where I'm going to try to go to sleep tomorrow, Saturday, it'll be 1 hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. I don't know. If I happen to be sitting in a hotel with Wi-Fi, who knows what I'll do, but I'll probably be on the road. All right, thank you. Let's do some metta, if you would, if you'd be kind enough to join me in doing metta. I feel like it helps. For those of you on YouTube and you're not that acquainted with metta, this is what it is. It's the generating of goodwill to all kinds of persons. We start by bringing our hands together and closing our eyes and bending our head. And then we take a deep breath and relax. And we think to ourselves, may I be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may this practice of ours bring me to a place of greater peace and comfort. May my mother and father, wherever they may be, and all my living family and all my friends be happy, be healthy, be free from harm. May they all find their path that leads them also to a life of greater peace and comfort. May those persons I harbor any ill will towards, typically because I believe they harmed me. And so I carry around this notion of justifiable indignation. Justified indignation. No. May they be happy, healthy, free from harm, enjoying their lives, peace, comfort, even joy, and to all living beings throughout the universe, humans and non-humans. Be the recipient of our collective goodwill, that all living beings should be happy, healthy, free from harm. May they all be safe, comfortable, and at peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Well, thanks, Kathy. Thanks. I'll probably bump into your nephews while I'm there. Thanks, Mark and Ann and Rachel and Kathy, and hi, Joan, and bye, Joan. Thank you, Joan. Rose, thank you. Radine. I'm scrolling now. Debbie. There weren't a lot of people today, was there? Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. Peace out. Stay out of trouble till tomorrow, because I'm going to be back, because today's Thursday, right? Yeah. I missed Chris and Becky. I'm sorry they didn't make it, but maybe I'll see them tomorrow. Give Radine a hug from me, but wear a mask. Okay, Kathy. Good night, Mark. Peace out, Debbie.